Yeah.
It just seems like it's time for younger people.
Okay, we're good.
to go in. Oh, we're ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't always mean. Linda's been.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that afterwards. Okay, hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Hi. Can you please give us your full name and date of birth and where you were born and all that,
Yeah.
please?
So my name is Lisa Ann with an E, gunion rinker. I was born on September 22nd.
Okay, that's the mic over there.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't need to go, but just know that it has to go that far.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm like talking to you guys and
Yeah.
I know, sorry about
Okay,
that.
let me lean back.
I just want to make sure that the little red light is on. Yep, okay, we're good.
All right, so I'll start over then.
Okay, thanks.
So you wanted name, date of birth, and
Where you were born.
Where you were born.
Yeah, where you born?
Okay. My name is Lisa Ann Gunion Rinker. It's Ann with an E. I was born September 22nd, 1967 in Jefferson, Iowa, so Greene County, Iowa. So slightly different. It's our county seat. It's Grand Junction's like 10 miles away.
Was it a farming community or? Okay.
Rural, corn, soybeans. My parents are farmers.
Oh,
I should say we're farmers. They're both gone now. But,
Oh.
so you grew up farming?
yeah, I can drive a tractor. With the best of them, I can combine. Hence, when I was working at a nursery, I was doing forklift and tractor, so I do all that.
Nice. And you moved over. How did you get from there to here?
That's an interesting story. Iowa to Oregon, there's actually a connection between Iowa State and Oregon State because they're both land-grant universities.
Oh,
But so I met my husband at Iowa State in first year of college, and he was in engineering school there, and I was in biology. And so we met, we were good friends and ran around a friends group, and then his family moved from Red Wing, Minnesota out to Bend. And so then from Bend, he just decided, well, I'm going to transfer to Oregon State since my family's there. And so he transferred after that, and we just kept in touch. We were friends, and the next thing you know, we're engaged, and we're going back and forth in the summers, and some of us, because I had to do biology stuff in the summertime, because you have to do like population genetics classes and all that sort of stuff that you really need the time to do that there in the summer. And so, yeah, we were engaged, and then whoever graduated first would move wherever that person was. And yeah, of course I graduated first because I didn't disrupt my program, and so then I moved out here and
to Bend?
no, to Portland. I met because Matt was still down in Corvallis, and so I moved up here and looked for a job, and I got 2 jobs. So yeah, I was working at Emergency Animal Hospital, a nonprofit, Dove Lewis at night, and then OHSU during the day. Research and nephrology at that point.
When did you sleep?
You don't need much sleep when you're early 20s.
You
It's
really
like
don't,
23, 24. It's like, I got home by midnight and up by 6.
Yeah. I had 2 jobs and still had time to party.
Yep.
So yeah, that's wonderful. So then it must have taken a few years that you were engaged, it sounds like.
Yeah, about
And
4 or 5.
4 or 5 years. And then you ended up in Milwaukie. How did that happen? And when, if I may ask?
Oh, yeah.
I love that story.
So this is a good story. So we were looking for houses. This is 1998, and I was Matt had moved up here. He graduated, and we were looking for. And this is kind of fun. So we were looking for voter stuff because when you're renting, they don't give you the pamphlets at the time in the 90s. You had to go seek them out, and so you'd get your voter's registration stuff in the mail, but then you had the pamphlet, and it wasn't a lot of stuff online at the time.
Right.
And so what I would do is I would go down to the Multnomah County Library and look for pamphlets, and of course there were none. They were all gone. And so I started looking around. I'm like, oh, there's a library down here in Milwaukie. That's not far. I'm going to go there. The library was easy to find. Pamphlets were all nice and neatly stacked. I took 5 from my complex at my apartment, and it was perfect. And so that first put Milwaukie on the map for me. So when we started house looking in 98, October of 98, we bought our house in Milwaukie. So it was just seemed to work. I mean, for me, any city that's organized and has a nice enough library, you guys already did and do, yeah. But-
Oh, so we just lucked out, didn't we?
No, you have a great library.
Yeah, we do. So you and your husband are the first generation, shall we say, of Milwaukeeans.
Yeah, yeah. No kids,
So
just
you're-
cats.
Yeah.
Just cats.
You're pretty involved in the city. What all are you involved in right now?
Right now, it's not as much actually. It's better than it has been. I'll just say that because you're too involved, you just feel overwhelmed.
Right. I just went through that.
Yeah, that's exactly. And so right now, we're involved with the Neighborhood District Association in Ardenville Johnson Creek.
Nice.
That's one of the first things that we got involved in when we moved here in '98, I believe. I can't remember who was the chair. Carlotta Collette was the chair at that time.
Oh.
But Sherry Campbell, I know she was the vice chair for years and years, and then Dorothy Snowhill was the secretary. So it was a all-woman power team.
Yeah.
And so you go to these meetings, you're just like, wow, they know so much and everything that's going on, and they really, and you felt like you could engage. And so we've been involved in the neighborhood stuff for years, and currently the land use chair for the neighborhood. My husband's the current chair, but he and Jeff Davis, they switch off all the time. Like one's chair and one's vice chair, and we're trying to get other people to take over, but we can't seem to push them forward, but I think we're getting close. The other thing I've been involved in, we started when I was on Parks Board with, several other wonderful
Milwaukie Parks Board? Okay.
Parks and Recreation Board for the city of Milwaukee. It's an advisory committee for the city council. And they essentially, we started off a foundation from Milwaukee Parks Foundation to help fundraise for our parks. And because we weren't, getting the funding, and Milwaukee is, is a smaller town, and we don't have that kind of funding typically for the big things. And infrastructure, especially for parks, is one of them. And so at the time, we had 4 parks that were non-developed in the neighborhoods. It was Wichita Park, Bowman Bray Park, Balfour Street Park, and then, now Scott Park, but we were really looking at Dogwood Park also, which needs work. And then, of course, the big park for the city, which is like the city's living room, is Milwaukie Bay Park. Formerly Riverfront Park, when it first started out in, again, the 90s, they were working on that. I was trying to think of all the other, Davis Graveyard. So Davis Graveyard is something I've been involved in with for years and years and years. We were looking back at pictures, I'm like, would that have been 2004?
Yeah.
No, 2001? Wow, that's a long time to be involved with a crazy group of people. But it's been fun, and it's a community passion, so. Yeah, we do a display, and the nice thing about it, with COVID now, because of what's happening, we couldn't have, we normally have either the high school dance team or a local dance team come in, and they'll do like Thriller, or we actually had a thespian group of kids from Ma come in one year and do a play.
I'm sorry, come into where?
To the Davis Graveyard at Jeff and Chris Davis.
Oh,
so when we set it-
Halloween?
Yeah, so we set it up that whole month.
Have you never been?
I've been by there.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there's more involved.
Oh, yeah. So we would do an open house. When you do the open house, then we would have groups come and they can fundraise. And we've done fundraising for some local charities as well. One of them, it was his house, our house, that's it. They help people who are transitioning in life with AIDS. And
With what?
AIDS.
Ah, okay.
I'm a low talker, sorry.
Yeah, you are. Sorry, I'm Italian, grew up with 5 boys.
I know. Yeah, no, our family was pretty quiet. We're all quiet. Trying to think of what else I've been still involved in.
The Balfour Park.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's been going on for a lot of years, too.
Is that the one on Stanley or the one on Monroe?
No.
Balfour's up here.
No, it's
Off of
off of 32nd, near the hospital.
Okay.
So that's the Ardenville Johnson Creek Neighborhood Park. And
I see.
That one we started talking about it in 2007, and now here we are. We finally have funding But, we had done annual plant sales for years and years through the neighborhood. And then last year, the Milwaukie Parks Foundation teamed on. So we had a lot more volunteers, and we had twice as many plants because we couldn't have, the plant sale because of COVID the year before. And so it's like, oh my gosh. So we had all these wonderful people, Linda being one of them, come out and
Is that the one at Covenant Church parking lot?
No, this is a different one. Yeah.
Wow. The one in the driveway?
Yeah, we had one in the driveway at our house across Kitty Corner from Balfour Street Park. Yeah.
I know, I went to that.
Yeah, that's my house.
I don't
And then
know
my
what it
neighbor's
was.
house.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of what else we did. There's been a lot of stuff. It just seemed there are so many things in the neighborhood we used to be involved in. And, a lot of those, like we used to have the city cleanup day. So back when, Sherry Campbell was the one that organized that. She got everybody, we got these big dumpsters.
Right.
That was when Wichita was our sanitation company. And she would, they'd be for recycling and metals and all this stuff, and then garbage. And people would line up, and you'd have little passes, and you'd, help people unload all their garbage and stuff in the day. And we'd have a whole team of people to do that. And the garbage haulers would come help too. And so we would have that go on like all day on a Saturday.
Wow.
And it really helped clean up the neighborhood. And then Joanne Harrigal at the time took it from the city, from the neighborhood, and took it to the city, and made it so that everybody could then come and do the same thing. It wasn't just an Ardenville thing.
I miss Joanne.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and she started another thing now. I think it's the Rivers Village. I don't know if you guys have seen.
Oh, East Rivers East?
Rivers East. That's
I get emails from them, and I've been to a coffee or two, but I don't quite get what they're doing.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things she started that it's basically people that are younger, kind of nearing retirement, like 55 and older, and then people who are in retirement, and so people can stay in their homes. And so you have a group of people come help you get stuff done or help get you to appointments, so you can maintain your independence.
Which really means a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Joanne. I didn't know that was Joanne.
Yeah, there's several of those groups that have started doing that in areas, and they encourage you to join when you're younger, and then get the positives when you get older.
Right.
And it's a wonderful thing to do because then it also helps.
Yeah. Have you been involved in the water down here on 37th?
Minthorn?
Yeah, Minthorn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Wetlands Conservancy owned property, as well as a small portion of city owned property.
Right.
And the wetlands has really been in the last, I'd say this is the third year, the big push to help clean up that site from all the invasives and start planting natives, which we have started now. And
That's
so
great.
that's the mitigation site really for the whole area, the Milwaukie Marketplace and the Industrial Way area. So that's the site where they left it natural. And actually, I was just yesterday on a 2-hour webinar to learn how to go in, I know this is kind of weird, and do amphibian egg mass counting. And so you put on waders and you get out there. Chesapeake and so I've signed up for Midhorn. We're going to have a team do that in February. We go out there and see what we have, what amphibians are there.
Yeah, when I was a kid, the whole of Milwaukie Marketplace was like Minthorn. And we used to take stuff and, get into trouble, kid stuff.
Yeah.
Some old boat we would use.
Well, so Crystal Springs Apartments on the other side used to also be a big big area.
Well, we had something right there where they had Crystal Springs Park.
Really?
That's where my parents met. I'm sorry.
Aw, that's awesome.
I'm sorry, it's not about me. Okay, so a lot of, and let's see, I'm going by my list here.
Yeah.
Do you miss anything in particular about the way things used to be back in 98 or 2000?
Here? Yeah. So one of the things that I loved, and I mean it's still going on, and it is still big, is the Winter Solstice event down in Milwaukie Bay Park. But when I first went, Vic's Tavern was still down there on the water, and the little antique shop was right next to it. And they had, the first year we went down, they had a humongous bonfire. Wow. And they had carolers from the high school there. And so we had a choir singing Christmas carols to us while around this ginormous bonfire. there were a lot of people. They're not the thousands that we have now. Like I think they said 3,000 in the past year. Well, not with COVID, but
Right.
before that, and
Right.
it will be again. But it was just kind of an intimate, experience. Maybe 800 people, 500 to 800 people, and all the kids involved. And then they're selling hot chocolate, and it was wonderful. And the Christmas ships came, and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. It must not have been raining.
No, it wasn't, and it wasn't as cold. I remember that. It was a nice
Yeah.
it was a nice year.
I don't mind the cold, but the rain sometimes.
But as you grow, and it's expected, more people get involved, and you
Right.
want that.
Yeah.
You want people to move here and to experience and enjoy things and make it better, not make it worse.
That's nice, yeah. So some of the great characters you've met in Milwaukee.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Not counting me.
No, well, yes, Mary, but Ed Zomo is the biggest character there was.
I'm
He
sorry,
was
who?
Ed Zomo.
Oh,
Yeah, he was hilarious. I can still remember, he'd always say, hey kiddo, how are you doing? And you always, oh, I'm good, Ed, how are you doing? And chat, and you might not agree on everything. In fact, you're probably not going to agree on everything, but it didn't matter. It's community.
Yeah.
And he always sticks out in my mind as one of those people that you just love. And one of the coolest people that a lot of people, my space is on his name now. How can I do that? He worked for 30 years for the city of Portland as their naturalist.
City of Portland?
City of Portland is their naturalist for Portland Parks and Rec. He lives just right off of Washington Street, he and his wife. He was the chair of the Parks and Rec Board when I first started getting on there, and I'm spacing on his name.
Ortiz?
No, it's Mark Hughes.
Oh.
Mark Hughes is another character. Oh my gosh, and he just knows everything, all about all the ecology and all the different reasons, and he's been involved in so many things for years, from Elk Rock Island, to Tiedemann Johnson Park in the north side of Ardenwell Johnson Creek neighborhood. He would come, and he was a naturalist at the time, and he would come, he puts flags out and tell us why we're planting, what we're planting, where, help us, be able to identify stuff. Part of why I know all the stuff I know is because of him.
wow.
Oh,
He was,
really?
and when when I decided to be on Parks Board, when I, applied to be on there, is because he was the chair. I was like, we've already worked with him over here. He's already worked in Elk Rock Island. I want to work with him here too. He knows his stuff. He's really making progress. Our ecosystems are thriving. This is good. But he's a huge character. If you haven't ever talked to him, he's huge. And he's a big boater. And so he's out on the water a lot. He's got a big sailboat.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, are there any other big historical Milwaukee events that we haven't covered already, or people, or anything?
We were here, we helped out at the Centennial event.
2003?
Yeah, it was great. We had the dragon boat races down on the water. And I remember being down in the park, taking a time at one of the tables, helping out with the city, answering questions and stuff. And that was it was a wonderful event. And then, of course, all the Milwaukee Days events, we had those down on the waterfront. Were a lot of fun too, getting people out and down on the water. We need to have more of that. That's why that park needs to be finished.
Yeah.
So we can have concerts.
Just gotta figure out
Right.
parking.
Well, COVID being the way it's been, it's
And now there's another variant.
another one.
It's a sub-variant of Omicron, and it's already here, and we don't even know it because it's flown under the radar, so it's already throughout everything, and it's super transmissible too. It's like BA2,
Then how can you even live?
Well, I mean, it's no worse than Omicron. It's the same. It's just harder to detect.
Yes.
But it's another one.
Well, pretty soon it'll get littler and littler,
Yes.
and we won't have to worry about it anymore.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Significant community events. You talked about the ones.
Well, I would
Solstice.
say one other thing in our neighborhood specifically. We used to do these wonderful, we have all these gardeners in our neighborhood, and they would open up their gardens, and we would do, as a neighborhood, we would invite gardeners to be involved. We did garden tours, and we would get people out, and we would fundraise money. It was just, a suggested donation of $10, because, you know, we want to make sure everybody could come. But we would get hundreds of people to come and see everybody's garden, and gardeners would open up and just talk about their garden for, like, you know, have visitors come for 4 hours. And then we raised, I think, between $1,500 and $1,800 when we did that to the after hours program at Arnold Elementary School for their PTO. And
That's cool. I was going to ask you what organization you were involved with that.
Well, and we usually have a PTO liaison, but we haven't since COVID kind of cut everything off. And I will hoping that we will get another representative so we can start doing
that kind of thing.
That part.
Well, I know they've had their plant sales up until COVID, and I was took part of that because they have great plants.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I miss a lot of stuff that hasn't been going on.
Well, if you think about it, we have so much stuff going on. If it isn't a museum having something, or the library, or a neighborhood doing a concert series, or all these things, movie nights.
I know.
It's hard to keep up with what's going on, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, not anymore.
Well, right now.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
That'll happen again.
Yeah, and you also have done a lot of volunteering with the city. Because I see you with these booths all the time.
Yeah.
But there's no one thing, you just volunteered.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Just somebody tells you something and you...
Well, it's like Linda. It's like something's interesting, you want to be involved, and you just want to help. And they need people. So now it's like for farmer's market, I sign up because I know exactly what it's like to move somewhere and not know a lot about the area. You can learn so much. Oh, and that's another significant thing. Actually, we had a historic walk in our neighborhood. That was one of the first things I was ever involved in.
A what?
Historic walk in our
Oh.
back in 2001 or 2, something like that.
Are you familiar with the one that the museum has put together? Are they putting together?
Oh, for Arnold Johnson Creek, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it. You can walk it and
And play it on your phone.
I haven't heard of it.
Hey, we gave money for a grant.
Oh, that's right.
For that. So I'm ready to do that.
Oh.
But yeah, we had back when in the day, and we still had some of our older citizens there. And Alan DeLay, I can remember we had a space up at the hospital in a room for everybody bought brown bag lunches, and he played the saw for our entertainment during the tour. So we took a break, in the morning was so many houses, we had people at all of the station, all of them, and then you went to the hospital and you had your brown bag lunch, and then there was another area that we went with houses, and but Alan DeLay was amazing.
I remember that song player. Yeah, he used to be around every once in a while.
Oh yeah. He was an Olympic swim guy too.